Good morning, you guys. So today I want to talk to you guys about global warming. The 10 warmest years on record all happened since 1998, all within our lifetime, with 2010 still being on top as the hottest year on record. When you open up the global picture, large parts of Europe, Asia, South Africa, and America were much warmer than the average, while Australia had its hottest year on record. Australia's temperature was 2.31 degrees Fahrenheit above normal, beating the previous record set in 2005 just 0.31 degrees Fahrenheit hotter. Higher temperatures weren't limited to just land either. Sections of Antarctica, Indian Ocean, and the Indian Oceans were also above average. I want to talk to you today about the Pacific Northwest and how the climate change has changed the landscape just around us. Over the past century, the annual temperature rose between 1.5 degrees, with increasing in some areas up to 4 degrees over a year-to-year basis. If this continues to rise, forests will suffer due to a higher risk of insect infestation, more frequent forest fires, and will likely cause a shift in the composition, range, and even the existence of the Northwest trees species. With the decreasing supply of water irrigation, increasing pest and disease attacks, and the growing competition from weeds, this all threatens the Northwest agriculture, especially the production of fruit trees such as apples. Water is such a vital source of life. All things revolve around the supply of water. The Pacific Northwest gets around 70% of its electricity from hydroelectricity, which is produced from water, dams, and streams and stuff. And with the decreasing summer flows, the stress of electricity is a real demand. The demand for air conditioning and refrigeration is with the growing population. Global warming is a day-to-day realization. Human activities are the main component to global warming, and the blindness that our society has grown to be. One of the components that contributes to much of the emissions is the cars that we drive today, and also the way we our food production, as in cows. There are roughly 15 billion cows on this earth today, and with the average amount of 26 to 53 gallons of methane per day, that is equivalent to the amount of emissions a car puts out on a daily average. Deforestation and burning of fossil fuels are a chief culprit of greenhouse gases that are trapped in our atmosphere. When we extract such resources such as coal and petroleum, we cause the release of carbon dioxide, CO2, and other heat-trapping greenhouse gases into our atmosphere. Though the amount of CO2 has varied from 180 to 300 parts per million, today's levels are around 400 parts per million. That increase is the highest natural level over the last 800 years, and by 2040, the emissions are supposed to be up in the 530 range. With the rate of technology and how advanced we are becoming as a society, we can determine what greenhouse gases contribute to the most, and we know the chemical composition of CO2 since it contains unique fingerprints. Now that we have the technology to identify these different compounds and how they're affecting and depleting our atmosphere, governments around the globe are creating and installing new regulations. So I'm going to show you this little clip. It's about just a minute and a half, and it's a good summary so far of the global warming. So they talk about how these last couple of years are the hardest, but I wonder why there's no sound. Should we look at this first? No, you don't get sound. There you go. Oh, it's just music. But this kind of paints a nice picture of you can actually see the devastation that global warming has been happening on just everyone, you know, the people, the environment, the governments, and also we all know where Colorado is. We all know where all these places are. We can all see these different changes and these effects. So again, these last 10 years have been the hottest years on record, which that's just in my lifetime. It's all in your guys' lifetime. I think that's my favorite quote. Earth's voice is louder. There's that. Addressing the climate issue has always and will be a difficult cultural issue since the United States was born during the Industrial Revolution. Its growth and power was fueled, and still is fueled, by fossil fuels that are depleting. For example, commercial mining began in 1748, and now coal produces about 45% of the electricity for the United States. Since the Industrial Revolution, the world has been consuming at a higher rate than ever, with the consumption being morphing people into buying the newest trends, and with companies designing products with limited life so that we are trained to continuously buy more products. This has created a new just throwaway attitude for our society. In 2005, an article came out about the world at risk, climate change, what causes global warming and how we can deal with it. And it stated the United States is the second largest emitter after China, with them contributing about 18% of the world's total greenhouse gases. The hardest hurdle will be the free market capitalists who will go to whatever they need to make their money and create that blindness society. A perfect example of local global warming is the 4-year drought that California is having. And on March 3rd, 2015, just a couple days ago, the State Water Board announced a steep decline in water conservation during the month of January and considered the driest January since on record, which is just this last January. Water consumption declined, and in December 2013, water consumption was at 22%, and by December of 2014, water consumption was at 8%. Which then entered California into the highest conservation rate on record. And I just want to pass around this little diagram on that. As the generations are getting educated and facing the facts, we can all see the time and how we all have to change our views and our consumption. Thank you so much, guys.
Hey!